Well, hello, my name is Brianna McWilliam, and I am very excited and grateful for Afonso, who is joining us here today and has been gracious enough to share his question and his exploration process. So thank you for allowing us to go on this journey together, and I look forward to diving in and taking a look.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So I'm going to start just by paraphrasing the question that you submitted. And also invite you at any time to jump in and add more detail or just to clarify a few points if you want to. Otherwise, I will just, confirm with you that this is the question that you're asking. And so you mentioned that you've been going through a lot of self-reflection lately, and you had learned recently that an ex-girlfriend of about, you had a long-distance relationship with this person for about 3 years. And you mentioned it was a very intense relationship when you were together. You moved in together after a period of time, or you moved close by, but you were together 3 or 4 days a week. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And at that time, however, you felt that things started to go downhill because you felt you were unconsciously resorting to deactivating strategies, which for those that don't know, this is when we tend to kind of turn off when we're feeling too close to someone. And then you mentioned that your brain went into full-on dissociation mode. So you mentioned that for a year, the year that you lived there, you felt extremely derealized and depersonalized, but you weren't sure why. Is that, yeah, okay. So you mentioned that at some point, my brain decided it was all her fault, and I told her that I didn't love her anymore. After that, we went back to long distance for a few months, but our next meeting would be our last. She asked if she could start sleeping with other people, and so you broke up with her. And then a few months of long distance contact, and then you decided to cut off contact altogether. Okay. And it's been 3 years since then, and you thought that you were doing better and that you were over it. But then you found out that now this person has a new boyfriend, and you felt like your heart broke all over again.
Big time, yeah.
So you mentioned that any sense of security you thought you had achieved seemed to vanish, and now you are trying to figure out what's that about. And you also mentioned that you feel as though there's a part of you that doesn't want to let go, like wants to hold on to this person. But it sounds like there's also a part of you that like also wants to let it go and to expand into whatever the next thing might be for you so that you can open up your heart and have a loving relationship. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah. I feel like it's the more adult part of me that wants to move on. But the part of me who actually holds the keys to all the other like true connecting feelings and stuff, like that part is like holding on to this figure, this symbol, and this story. And yeah, it's hard for me to imagine being just that close with anyone else ever again. It's hard. Like I know consciously that yeah, life has to move on. You can figure this out. People break up. It's okay. You can find other people. But deep down inside, it's really scary. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And it also lets us know that there's a conflict between what your, let's say, observing self knows of you and you in your context of your life, in a larger scale, you in relationship to others, and then what your body knows, right? The energy that's existing in your body and the emotions that are tied to that energy. And you use the word symbol, which is a wonderful word. And we're going to be playing with symbols because I think you are very intuitively connecting to some of what may be going on for you,
Yeah. Yeah, intuitively in the more observing way, but in my visceral spirit, I'm very much still attached to my ex-girlfriend. I have lots of daily fantasies that I just drift off, and I know that they will hurt me if I dwell on them too much, but it feels good to dwell on them. Yeah.
In the short term.
Yeah, I
So
feel that. Yeah.
yeah. So this is, we do talk about this in the course that you have a little bit towards the end. And I think it might be worthwhile maybe sharing this framework with you, because I think it might help maybe organize things a little. So I know you're familiar with the inner child language, right? Like that we might have a younger part of ourselves inside, and
Yes.
that, okay, great. So there's a kind of energy that collects itself around the inner child, and that energy is usually some form of emotional energy, powerful emotional energy. But that's not the only thing we have inside. So we'll have this character inside, a younger version of ourselves, that is on the emotional level, seeing and understanding your relationship, where you are now, where you were then, within the perspective of a younger version, right? And then there will be parts, there are, in internal family systems theory, according to that approach, there's actually two other parts involved here, if not three. The other part is a manager or a protector. So a manager or a protector will step in when it's concerned that your more vulnerable parts that the inner child represent might get out, or might create a conflict for you in some way, or might leave you vulnerable to being hurt. Basically create a threat for you somehow. So the manager part comes in and like puts the kibosh on, right? No, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. So this is like the deactivating part, right? This is the part that says, oof, now we are in close physical proximity. That was not the deal. We just spent 3 years being at a safe proximity, and now you've thrust me into being in close proximity with this person the majority of the week. Are you kidding? Oh no, zoop, we're out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the time we did spend together, and it got worse over time, but the time we did spend together, my mind would distract itself with fantasies of what I do when the weekend is over.
Yeah.
So at the
Yeah.
time, I was like, at the time I was addicted to smoking weed, and I just couldn't like wait to escape to my vice, like to go back home and just be by myself.
Right.
And
So
yeah.
this part is what we call a firefighter. So now a firefighter, if the feelings are strong enough and the manager can't keep them under control, if the feelings come out, now we've got a firefighter swoop in.
I thought that was the manager. Like the part of me like daydreaming about like going back home, being by myself, not having to deal with the other person. I thought
Well,
that
a
was the manager.
manager reduces conflict, right? The manager's job is to kind of keep things under control. If it can't, if it fails in that job, now comes a firefighter. So you would think more about, what were the things I said and did to avoid a conflict with my girlfriend? How did I actually manage to go a full year living like that, which is not easy, right? So were there things that I said to get out of an argument? Were there things that I said to please her so that I could get back to smoking weed faster? So those are the things that the manager was in charge of.
So
Right.
like the manager was like pretty much like he's the culprit behind the deactivating strategies in a way.
Yeah.
Like
Although, I
the
mean, both
stuff
of
that I
them can
would say,
deactivate,
yeah,
but yeah,
the
this the
stuff that I'd
quality.
say, and yeah.
Yeah, it's the quality of the voice. So the voice is more like, we spent 3 years committing and being enthralled to this person. We moved here, we made a commitment. Now we're going to see it through. Right. And if I'm feeling like I need to distance myself or disconnect or whatever, they're going to be unhappy with me, or their feelings are going to be hurt, and that's intolerable. So we're going to stick it out. God damn it. Right.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
other part says, but then it's like, but there's a part of you that's really so deeply threatened by this situation. And it's like, I can't tolerate this the way that it is. And this part says, tough shit, you're in it to win it now. And then this part says, can't take it. So now in comes the weed smoking firefighter who says, hey man, we're just going to distance, distract, or dissociate and douse this with weed, fantasy, dissociation, depersonalization, distancing ourselves when we can. So it's distancing, dousing, and distracting. And these are what the firefighters do. So the love is real. And just because when you moved in with her and you dissociated or what have you, it doesn't mean you didn't love her. It doesn't mean that the feelings weren't real. They were real. But what happened was, when you first got together, the container was just a safer container. That's all. It just, the circumstances created the safety you needed to let yourself feel that way, to let yourself connect to someone. So it wasn't not real. You didn't make it up. It's just, but you didn't know. You didn't know that's what was going on. So then when you got into that shared space, all the things you didn't know came up. And you know, and so then it was there, and I was like, oh, but so you did what you had to do to protect yourself with the tools that you had. Right.
Yeah.
So these protectors, these managers you have, they are very adept. They're very adept. So, but because I think they're coming up again now, most likely because you've been on this journey. Because now the hurt that you might have experienced then, it wasn't safe to come up and be processed at that time. And now
I
it is.
feel like I think you're right. I think it is a self-container because I don't have that proximity anymore, which made me feel unsafe.
But now maybe you're ready for connection again. And who was the last connection you had? What you know, what's the most profound experience of connection that your body and your mind has experienced? Well, this person, right?
Yeah.
So now you've opened up something because you're ready on some level to have it opened. And when you open it, it's like, I think I'm ready for deeper, more meaningful connection.
Yeah.
And so
and then the only person that pops up is this person.
That person, right.
Like I try to tap into, like, mentally try to remember what it felt like to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, to love, to just have this friendship. It was also like a very strong friendship. And it's just this person comes up, and then that paired with the information that she's gone, she's moved on. It's like, it's
well, and then the narrative that says nobody else will ever come close to that.
That's there. That's
right.
I just
protective
that narrative is there. It's like I could try and lie to myself and say, no, you don't. Of course, logically, you know that this doesn't make any sense. But like on a very carnal level, I there's the belief that like no one I can find can even come close. That's the feeling. And
that's the level on which we would need to work with it in order to have you experience a shift. So I thought we might maybe in the last part of our conversation, maybe shift into something that allows you to touch upon the visceral aspect of this, while still not going too deep, because I want to respect your privacy, you know, but I think we can touch upon things for your information. And then I suspect then you'll have a sense of direction, so to speak. Does that sound okay with you?
Yeah.
Do you have any drawing materials or a surface that you can draw on?
I do actually.
So we are going to, I want to respect the manager and the protector in you, because I feel like it's very strong and it's very capable. And it probably wants to be respected and acknowledged first without trying to go after an inner child. And so I think it might be a little heavy-handed to try to dive right in there. I think we need to respect the guard's role here, the protector's role. So I would say let's start by just speaking to the manager. So on your page there, there's a couple ways we can do this. I might have you create, I'd like you to create a triangle. It can be the size of your palm, however you'd like to make it.
Yeah.
And on the, let's say the left side, the lower left side of that triangle, I'd like you to create some kind of representation of your manager, your protector part, the part that wants to keep you safe. It could be a scribble, it could be a shape, it could just be a color or a stick figure, whatever emerges.
Yeah, I did a scribble.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have you move along the bottom of that triangle. We're going to go over to the bottom right side, and or whichever side it is for you. And I would like you to create a representation of your firefighter, the part that distances, that dissociates, that douses, that distracts. Also attempting to protect you, but in a slightly different way.
Yeah, okay.
At the top of the triangle, I'd like you to create a symbol that represents your observing self, your spiritual self. The
At the
part
top?
at the top, the part that represents the glue in which these parts are swimming. Maybe it's the parent that you mentioned before.
Wait, I mentioned a parent?
You did.
Can you remind me?
You said that it's almost like the part of me that's the parent that knows I want to move on and have loving relationships, but these parts are kind of holding me back.
Yeah, I meant more like the adult, like my adult faculties of a
The
parent
part that
works too.
sees the larger narrative, right? That has the.
I guess that is the parent, like,
Yeah, sure.
like the parent sees the bigger picture.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
inside the triangle, when you're ready, will be your inner child.
Okay. I feel like the parent needs more colors because it sees more colors.
I like that.
Yes.
So I had you draw it out in a representational way because this is, and through the action and the metaphor, we're creating organization. We're drawing some lines around these things, right? So that when you feel a voice like that come up, now you can say, this is a picture now that we are assigning to this knowledge, this intellectual chatter that we've got going on, right? We're creating an image that you can assign to this conversation so that in the future, you can be like, oh, this feeling's here, that feeling's there. This is coming from inside. This is above it all, right? So that's just a little organizational, mechanism. For the purposes of our exercise and the time that we have today, I am going to ask us to bring the manager part into your heart space. And we're going to.
What do you mean by heart space? Exactly.
Your heart. Yeah.
Like actual, okay.
Yeah. And we're just going to ask it its name and what it wants for you. That's it.
So the manager?
Yeah. We're just going to ask, what's your name? What do you want for me? And what do you need? Just 3 questions. And then I'm going to pull you out. We're going to be very gentle today. Okay. Now, the reason I'm doing it this way is because I want to demo for you how you can ask these questions and be in greater command of the conversation going on inside of you, so that in the future, you could listen to this again and do it with the firefighter, with the inner child, and with your observing self.
Yeah, I feel like I don't feel like the like, just on a very intuitive level, I feel like the firefighter would be more eager to talk to me than the manager.
That's wonderful news. Would you like to start there?
Yeah, I guess so. The firefighter.
Okay. All right, right there. That's amazing insight you have already. Okay, so I'm going to ask you just to close your eyes for a moment. We're not going to go into a deep meditation. We're just going to ask a couple questions and come out, okay?
Yeah.
So I am going to have you just take a breath. And with the breath, I'm just going to have you attend to your lungs, the way that they expand, and the way the ribs open up, the way that the breath creates more space inside. And you might even imagine maybe dropping a few roots through your feet, down through the floorboards of your home, down through the layers of rock and crust and soil, all the way down, wrapping your roots around the core of the earth, grounding you in the present moment. And we're also going to open up your crown, and we're going to imagine that any energy or aspects of yourself that may have escaped above your head, it's safe now to come back down, to bring that energy into your body and into your heart, because we're going to have a little conversation today. Simple, easy, just a basic hello. Remembering to breathe. We're going to drop a seed of your awareness from your third eye, which is that space between your brow. We're going to drop it down like a stone through water, gliding down through the length of your face, past your neck and shoulders, down past your clavicle, down, down, down into the heart space. Dropping down there into the middle of your heart chamber between your ribs and lungs. We're going to drop that seed of your awareness to the inner landscape of your body. And in that heart, I invite you to find a comfortable spot. And to really ground yourself there as a safe and neutral place. And now we're going to call upon your firefighter, the image that you created. And you might imagine projecting that image on a screen, like a movie screen in front of you. And on your next breath, we're going to breathe some life into that image as if you're pressing play. And you're just going to notice what happens to that animation. How does it move? I'm going to have you keep your eyes closed. I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions, and then we will complete the practice. And so the first question is, when you project the image on the screen, how does it move for you?
Should I answer out loud?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Erratically and nervously.
Okay.
And yeah, like almost tweaky.
Okay, all right. That's good information. Now I'm going to have you ask this animation, what is your name?
It doesn't know, doesn't matter.
Doesn't know, doesn't matter. That's a good name. Okay. How do you serve me? Doesn't know, doesn't matter.
Everything's always on fire. So I got to deal with it.
How do you feel about that?
The job sucks.
What else would you be doing if you didn't have to do this job?
I'd probably just be chilling with you, me. So
Sure. Can you show us a picture of what that would look like on the screen?
yeah. Yeah.
What do you see?
So I drew my firefighter is like a ball of unsure stress, very spiky ball. And then once it gets to chill with me, it loses its spikes, has a sweet pair of shades, is just chilling.
Very relaxed, sounds like.
Yeah.
I invite you to take a deep breath and just let yourself be with that relaxed image for a moment. And just to give doesn't know and doesn't matter a little respite for a second. Thank you for that information and for that image. Is there anything that doesn't know and doesn't matter needs? Is there anything we can give it to help it do its job without as much stress?
Maybe stop making so many fires. That's a good start. Yeah.
How does it feel to hear that suggestion?
Relieved. Heard.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that this part of you wants you to know at this time?
Um, I'm strong, but I'm not that strong.
Mm. Mhm. And could it be a strength to admit that?
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I invite you just to take a breath and to allow the wisdom to sink in with that scene through the rhythm of your breath as the oxygen fills your lungs, pumping to the rhythm of your heartbeat from your crown to your toes, from your fingertips to your nose, just letting that witnessing become so memory, body knowledge, and knowing and trusting that in time, deeper insights will rise to your conscious awareness. And if action is required, you will know what to do. And so I'm going to have us start returning to the present moment, returning to the room, noticing the breath, the way the oxygen fills your lungs, the way your ribs expand and contract. And I'm going to count backwards from 5 to 1, and we can release this practice. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Oh.
So I just want to check in with you. How are you feeling? How was that experience?
I feel like smiling. Yeah. Uh, that was gnarly and very vivid. And
Mm,
yeah,
yeah,
and it felt real. Yeah.
yeah, it is real.
Yeah, that's a weird feeling because I know where I was real, but it
Mhm.
was inner real. So I'm not used to spending much time in
Yeah,
that space.
yeah. And that's why we were gentle today.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just going in to say hello. And we're not trying to change anything or make anybody stop doing things or start doing things. We're just like, hey, what's your name? What's your job? What do you need? Is there anything you want to let me know? Okay, nice to meet you. You know, we're just that's really the only place you really need to start. This practice that we did, you know, structurally speaking, where we just drop it down and project it on the screen and just ask a few basic questions. You can repeat that process with, and I'd recommend repeating that process with your manager, with your inner child, and even with your observing self, right? And you don't have to do it in that order, right? Or maybe you're like, hey, I want to talk to my other firefighters first, right? Or I want to talk to my inner child next, or whatever you feel inclined to do. But this is a process that you can repeat as many times as you want, and it's going to continue. Once you're demonstrating to your unconscious self that you can have these conversations and you can hold that space, then the constriction, the holding on, the tight grip that exists for you energetically and emotionally with the symbol of the girlfriend is going to loosen, because she's no longer holding all the cards when it comes to you having a feeling.
Wanted to give you a compliment. I think you really, really, really like understand this stuff on a very, very deep and intuitive level, and I really appreciate that. Like it feels like when I first heard you describe all of these things, it really felt like you had been watching my life story like the whole time. So yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So I will send you a copy of the full recording for your own edification.
Great.
And with that, you know, I look forward to seeing you in future live streams if you can make it. And of course, any other questions come up or you want feedback on your, artworks or your experiences or assignments, you can always post in the group and tag me.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
bye.